It is
Yeah.
about 2 months since the entire world has almost been locked down to contain the spread of coronavirus. That the lockdown has achieved this objective or not is debatable, but number of cases is on rise in India, in US, and in many countries. Yet, politicians, economists, and doctors are advising that we can manage the disease by building herd immunity. So, by definition, herd immunity means when two-thirds of the population attains immunity against any virus, bacteria, or any pathogen, since by either vaccination or by getting infection to that disease. But since we do not have any vaccine against COVID-19, that means to attain herd immunity, we need to have two-thirds of the population getting infected or exposed to the virus. In case of India, two-thirds population means around 85 to 90 crore people. So is this a practical idea? Is this an achievable target? To discuss all these things, we have today with us Dr. Abel Lawrence. He is Professor of Immunology and Rheumatology at Sanjay Gandhi Postgraduate Institute of Medical Sciences, Lucknow. Then we have Dr. Uttare. He is a surgeon and President of Maharashtra Medical Council. Then we have Dr. Kamakshi Bhate. She is the community medicine expert at KEM Medical College, Mumbai. Welcome you all to the show.
Thank you.
Dr. Lawrence, is this an achievable target to get herd immunity against COVID-19? I'm asking
Let
this
me
question
first,
because India and some parts of the world, they've started relaxing the restriction which they have imposed on movement of people.
let me start by explaining what is herd immunity. The concept of herd immunity arose when people looked at how much of what percentage of the population should be vaccinated to achieve sufficient immunity to prevent an epidemic. The key idea is that when you immunize a population, when a certain proportion of population is immune, the reproductive rate of the infection will come down below 1. That means an epidemic cannot gain strength and it will die off. And this is generally calculated from R0. R0 itself is a concept which is used to calculate this herd immunity fraction. It is given by 1 minus inverse of the R0. So somebody with a viral infection with a R04 will need at least 75% of the people to be of the population to be immune to prevent an epidemic from spreading. So as the R0 goes up, the fraction required to get immunity sufficient to stop an epidemic goes up. So it is not a fixed two-thirds. So you need to have a good idea of R0. And one more factor we need to understand is that R0 is not a property of the virus. R0 is a property of many things. R0 depends on the number of people whom you socialize, you come into contact with. It also depends on the infectivity, which is only one of the factors, and the duration of the infective period. So in this case, we don't know the exact R0. There have been varying estimates. The R0 estimated from Wuhan was 3.87. Subsequently, some places it was estimated at 2.5. Now, again, it is now estimated to be about 4. And in some places like Italy, New York, etc., where the infection spread really fast, R0 has also been estimated to be about 10. You can easily understand that if people mingle socially in an extraordinary fashion, R0 can go up. So this is not a fixed idea, and as the R0 changes, the thing also will change. And when we look at infection, if you want a community to achieve 80% immunity, that means 80% of the population have to be infected, and even if the mortality is less than 1%, the burden of mortality and morbidity will be too high for a community to accept. So it is impractical to achieve herd immunity with infections which are lethal even in a small fraction. So this talk of herd immunity is actually preposterous.
Dr. Uttare, as Dr. Abel Lawrence is saying that it is actually not a practical idea. So if we talk, we can see the mortality rate in India. It is around 5 to 6%. In some states, it is up to 8 or 9% mortality rate, which we are seeing in COVID-19. That means If we talk about two-thirds of the population to be infected, that means 85 crore people to be infected. Out of which 5%, that means around 4.3 crore people. So are we in a position to take that risk?
Well, just now, as Dr. Lawrence has already explained to you, there is a vast difference in getting herd immunity by vaccination and herd immunity by actually getting infected by the virus. See, when you take a vaccine, that doesn't mean you actually symptomatically suffer from that disease, though antibodies are formed in your body. Whereas if you get infected, then you are going to be symptomatic also. So you can imagine India has a population of 135 crores. When we talk about those numbers, and we are talking about minimum 65-70%, and now, as Dr. Lawrence said, almost 80% if we are talking about. So that many have to get infected. And it has been seen all over the world that at least 20% of them are going to require admission facilities, of which 5% will require ICU facilities, and there will be 1% mortality just now. So when we are talking numbers in India, are we ready with the infrastructure, or are we ready with the manpower to look after so many of these patients? Because what we are talking about is admitted patients to the tune of almost nearing about 25 crores. And we are talking about 1+ crore going on a ventilator. Now, if you see the total, if I'm not mistaken, we have around 16,000 ventilators all over India. So where is that, and where is 1 crore? So it is impossible. Another aspect of this herd immunity, you have to know that when it is through infection, what they say is that, why they are talking about India trying to go for the herd immunity. Because comparatively, we have got a younger population percentage wise. So our population up, around 45 years, we have almost about 60% of the population which is falling in that age group. And if you see the graph up till now in all the countries, and also even in India, the younger people do not succumb. That means the mortality is quite less. And that is the idea behind, leaving them or saying that, okay, you open up everything and let them go into the, public, and they get infected. But you have to understand that as compared to the Western countries and in India, the gross difference is how our family is, and, how our socio-economic status is. Like in Western countries, we do not stay separate from our old parents. Here we have where our parents are staying with us majority of the time, or we even have a mixed, large family group. So when you go back home, if you are infected, when they go back home, they go back to their own residence. Whereas when we go back home, we are going back home to our old parents, which is the group which is the most susceptible for, the morbidity, mortality is very high. So can we really afford to say that we want to go for a herd immunity secondary to getting infected? I don't think in India it is possible. Another aspect you have to understand is that unlike the Western countries, the comorbidities in a younger age group is quite high. If you see the type 2 diabetes, almost 20% of the younger age group, which is less than 45%, is, has type 2 diabetes. If you see hypertension, almost 22%. These are statistics which are there already. If you take into consideration HIV, out of the 83 million positivity, 83% of the HIV, these are the young age group. So all these people, so you cannot say that there won't be, that many deaths, as less deaths as seen in the Western countries. And if you see the charting even today, you will find quite a lot of death rate amongst the age is much more. So I don't think India has this choice of, going for a herd immunity. We have to stick to the, standard protocols of trying to avoid that infection as far as possible, as trying to keep the graph not going, shooting up as far as possible, and giving enough time, I think, to the whole health sector to ramp up their, requirements as per the numbers which we are expecting, sometime in June, first or second week, where the numbers are really going to shoot up, especially in Mumbai. That is the estimate where the mathematical calculations are showing almost 75,000 infected cases. So all that we are achieving by this lockdown is trying, to extend that period where we can be ready for those number of patients and take care of those number of patients. The admission facilities, the bed facilities can be increased, the ICU facilities and the ventilator facilities can be increased. So that is all that we are achieving by this lockdown, and that is what we should try.
Dr. Kamakshi Bhate, you might have seen that the government has divided India into three different zones: red, orange, and green. And now the government has not said anything about the differentiation, but some media houses, some experts, they are writing that it is being done to start building herd immunity. So when the people will move around in green zone and orange zone, so this herd immunity will start getting built. And as Dr. Utre mentioned, we have different kind of vulnerable population, from TB to cancer to cardiac cases, diabetes, and all. But when the government has started releasing the restrictions, we have not seen any kind of bar, any kind of age bar, or maybe the disease bar for the people who can go and join the factories and offices now. So how is it going to impact our overall productivity?
Kanchan, one thing is, we are not saying going for herd immunity is a very wrong word according to me, because it means that we are trying to do it. It is going on in the community, and before this lockdown began, there were so many people who were positive. We are staying in the houses where we have one room for this person, one room for that person, etc. Our entire community is living in one room tenement, and we expect them to be locked in. We are anyway, whatever exposure there have been videos where doctors are saying, look at them, they are so shameless, we are putting our strength in it, and they are moving in the community, they are moving in the mullahs, but there is no space for them, Kanchal. And anyway, the herd immunity is going to be there, and we can't say that we are going to develop it or we open up for the herd immunity. That's not the right word. Herd immunity can develop, as Dr. Uttara or Dr. Lawrence said, that it is either by vaccine or by infection. Infection just does not mean person is infected, is deceased. And there will be, at least in our country, we don't see so much of mortality as other countries have seen. According to me, we are the people who have faced so many viruses, so many these things. Our people have moved for thousands of miles, to reach their houses. They have exposed themselves. It is not that we are going to expose them. It is already happening. So we can't say that, the herd immunity is not developing. Herd immunity is developing. Many people are getting exposed. It is developing the herd immunity. Not many people are dying with it. And herd immunity itself means, there are not many deaths, but many people have got the infection. That will, slow down slowly the epidemic, according to me.
Dr. Lawrence. Dr. Lawrence?
I have to clarify something. Even in countries where very high level of mortality, like in New York, they have not reached herd immunity threshold. New York had hospitals which are overwhelmed with patients and everybody dying, with thousands dying in a day. Even there, the serological studies and various studies in pregnant women and such categories show that only around 20% of the people were actually infected with the thing. So to achieve herd immunity, you have to achieve a much higher level. Another problem with the idea of achieving herd immunity with infection is that it assumes that the infection will stop once you achieve herd immunity. It doesn't happen like that. When a large number of people are infected, probability of continued transmission remains high, and you have a situation where it overshoots. The proportion of people infected by an epidemic is always higher than the proportion that will be is required for vaccination. So this leads to a fallacy. So this will lead to unexpected or unacceptable burden of the disease. And So as you can see, the relationship between the fraction that achieved, that is the penetration of the infection into the community versus the herd immunity threshold, it's a totally not a worthwhile bargain. So on the other hand, there are other issues also with this idea of achieving herd immunity. This is something, immunity in a natural infection comes naturally. I mean, infection will find you. You don't have to find the infection. And the other problem is that we are not isolated in communities. Even if you expose high-risk people, even if you expose the youngsters and etc., who are likely to get the infection but may not die, they can easily transmit to their parents and older people, vulnerable people, and accelerate this disease. So there is no way that this herd immunity can be a goal for a society or a community or anyone. And this has not been achieved even in countries like UK or Sweden, which have had very high levels of infection.
Dr. Utre.
Yeah.
Dr. Utre, then we have to, lockdown has to be lifted. It cannot go for forever. What should be the way out then?
See, basically now you have to balance between the medical aspect and the economical aspect, because we cannot on one hand, as far as we medical people are concerned, we would be most happy if everything was locked down and everybody was made to stay in their house so that it does not spread. But that practically that is impossible, because ultimately the nation and the society has to go forward. So that is the reason why, in these 2 months that the government has got, the government has divided the zone wise, as you said, green zone, orange zone, and red zone. And not only that, but in the red zones also, they have called, we get what is known as the containment areas. So now we can safely say that in some of these areas, definitely things can, open up, especially in the green zones, they can definitely open up, because they have not found any positive cases in the last 14 days to 21 days. For that matter, even if you take the red zones, because unfortunately what has happened is, if you see, the most productive zones in India, as far as finances and businesses are concerned, are all in the red zone. Though, if you see, a lot of green zones are there, but they are not that productive. They don't contribute to the exchequer so much as these zones are doing. So the way out in these red zones is that whichever are the containment areas, be extremely strict in, putting up the policing and closing down these containment areas where, you do not allow anybody to come in or get out of these containment areas. And at the same time, the rest of the zones where they are not containment zones, in these red zones, you can open up for, whatever commercial activities you require. But then, having said that, the people have to be educated that even if it is opened up, that doesn't mean that this is a holiday season for them. They have to follow the protocols. They have to wear compulsorily masks in the public. They have to keep social distancing. They cannot be, party halls and wedding halls. So we are very emotional, and the whole community, Indian community, where we want friends, we want relatives to be around. So we cannot afford to do that. And I'm not talking about the immediate time zone. I'm talking about down the line, 6 months to 1 year. We are stuck with this virus for at least 6 months to 1 year. The virulence of this virus is there. So we have to, teach our people how to live in this environment, so that there is not a sudden spread of this virus or the infection. And we don't want the green zones to, enter the orange or the red zones. Instead, we want the red zones to come down to orange and then come down to green. That should be what our ultimate aim should be. And if we can, ultimately, one thing you have to accept, practically every one of us sometime or the other is going to get infected down the line. It's a question of when that is important and how many in that particular week or that particular month. If that can be extended, the numbers, then definitely we have achieved a lot in trying to control this infection.
Dr. Bhatti, your last comment, please. Very quick.
As Dr. Utture said, that we have to go, in step-by-step fashion. We can't simply open up the whole thing. Secondly, very important thing which is told that washing hands or social distancing or masking our faces, etc., or at least while we're coughing, we don't cough at somebody else, etc. That these habits, whatever we have said, good habits, etc., they have to go on. But at the same time, Kanchan, I feel that when we are telling people to wash their hands, we have to see that there is water available. That concerns me. We can't say simply that वो हाथ नहीं धो रहे हैं, उनको आता नहीं. We might give very good health education, but if it is not made available, they won't be able to do it. So even the responsibility increases. It is not only the doctors and the medical person, but entire public health, which has to be, of a greater status. They have to have, toilets. They are having toilets where 50 people are in a line. We can't expect them to have social distancing.
Dr. Abel Lawrence, your last comment, please, very quick.
See, as Dr. Uttara said that, the productive areas are more affected. This is natural because the spread of infection is related to the connectivity of a place. The place which are connected more to outside world, more connected to China, to be specific Wuhan, have been affected more. This explains why we have not been affected as much as Western countries, because our economic integration into the rest of the world is less compared to the other places. And as regards coming out, we had to lock down because the best methods of cutting down spread didn't work, or we could not do it. The best way to contain spread is to isolate the people with infection from the rest of the community. This requires identification of the people. How can you identify infected? Testing. Only extensive testing and removal of the infected people from the spreading pool, that is isolating them. This is the only way in which we can come back to renewed economic activity. Third thing is that this social distancing is not the only way to reduce R0. If you can reduce the probability of transmission from individual to individual through physical measures such as hand washing, wearing a mask, etc., and this can also reduce the R0 and decrease the spread. So essentially, only places with extensive testing and isolation, quarantine, as well as active use of physical measures like masks, hand washing, and when these can be done, we can slowly open up in a controlled manner. And we had to lock down because there was no testing in the beginning. Things happened too fast, and there was a shortage of masks. Even the doctors in hospital were short of protective equipment. So essentially, lockdown has allowed us to prepare for much better control, and let's hope the government has prepared the country sufficiently with supplies and infrastructure. And wherever infrastructure is available, we need to first start with more essential services, economically important activities, and companies which want to restart, they have to provide proper SOPs, how they manage to implement these control measures. These are, people have to be held responsible. Any business that works at this time has to take responsibility for preventing spread among their employees and through their employees to the rest of the community. And this has to be ensured, and the responsibility for this should be with the public health officials. And this is a situation where I would like to remind everyone that the recommendations of various commissions of the past to create a cadre of public health professionals in India has never been implemented. We have been studying in community medicine textbook for a medical cadre of public health professionals. This is the time when everyone should pressure the government to act on this. So these experts in public health and community medicine can actually supervise the return of the society back to economically productive life.
Thank you, Dr. Lawrence, Dr. Utture, and Dr. Bhate for talking with us. Thank you.
Yeah, Kanchan, just one sentence I would like to tell. Instead of going for herd immunity, you go for the herd protection, especially of the vulnerable section of the society. If we can even do that, we have achieved a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much.